I trust that everyone is doing well this morning. It's a beautiful day. Will you all join us in a word of prayer, please? What a beautiful day it is, and what a beautiful name the name of Jesus is. We know that at the name of Jesus, there's healing, there's deliverance, there's freedom, there's peace, and there's joy. So we call upon the name of Jesus this morning. We invite the Holy Spirit into this house, and we ask, Lord, that you would lead us and guide us in our decision-making, order our steps, and have mercy upon all of those, Lord God, who desire to do what is right and pleasing in your sight. We all need your mercy, and we thank you for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll hear from our Grants Administrator, Regina Walker, Attorney Susan Kennedy with Levitate, and President Pam Riley Bolden with the Riley Relief Foundation. The items to be considered during the formal session is a resolution to enter into beneficiary agreements with local nonprofits demonstrating a negative economic impact from the pandemic and to advance a water drainage project in the Macedonia community. Consider a resolution to negotiate for the purchase of land and to designate up to $1,105,000 from funds allocated to community centers for the design and construction of a community center in District 1. Consider a resolution authorizing a request for an Attorney General's opinion regarding the expenditure of opioid settlement funds for the purchase of case management software for the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office.
Ms. Jim,
Yes, sir.
when Florence is through with the reading of the items that we're going to consider for a vote today, I'd like to comment on that particular item, please.
You want to do it now?
Yeah.
Let's do it now. Yeah.
In terms of that opinion that we're seeking, I don't really have a problem with that, and I certainly don't have a problem with data. I think data helps to drive our decision making. For instance, if you had some children who were below their expected reading level for the grade that they were in, you would perhaps do assessment on that, and maybe you would decide that they needed reading coaches, and you would involve reading coaches to help with their grade. If it was homicides like we are experienced, perhaps we need to be getting some data to see what's driving that. Is it the zip code? Is it the level of education? Who are these perpetrators and so forth, and what do they have in common other than the violence? And so data is very, very important. Don't have a problem with that, but I'm concerned about whether or not what we are proposing to do does it do what the Governor's Council on Opioid Addiction had intended? Does it really address abatement strategies? So I am concerned about that. And I know we had an individual from the Department of Mental Health here, Ms. Metzinger. I believe that's her name. Now, she is the person that the state relies on to give us direction in terms of how this opioid money should be spent. She was here. I don't know how many of us actually heard her or listened to her, but she is the one that the state of Alabama actually relies upon. And of course, when the governor put forth this opioid council, she invited the Attorney General. She invited Dr. Scott Harris as well as the Commissioner of Mental Health, and they were the three main individuals involved in the discussion. And so I had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Scott Harris, and I was wondering, in addition to what the Department of Mental Health put forth in terms of guidance for the opioid money, I thought perhaps maybe the Department of Public Health had a separate set, of recommended strategies. But he told me that that particular set of strategies that this lady brought to us was what the Attorney General agreed to, the Department of Mental Health had agreed to, and the Department of Public Health had agreed to. And so I'm just really concerned about why do we need an Attorney General's opinion on what has already been decided. And one of the main things that they were advocating was that the public have some input in terms of how this opioid money would address the addiction that a lot of our citizens did experience. And so to have an Attorney General come in, after the fact, this council had been in session since 2017, and so I'm not sure why we need that at this point in time. What we need is the public input into how this money is going to be spent to address opioid addiction and we have not done that. This body has not done that. We've had the money, we've been holding on to it, and there has been no effort on behalf of this commission, as far as I'm aware, to bring the public in to get some input on how this money is going to be spent. And Attorney General's opinion does nothing to address the abatement strategies that have already been outlined. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's correct. Michael, why don't you address this?
This resolution does not commit the commission to do anything. There's been a request made by the district attorney's office, and there is some question as to whether or not this is an allowable abatement strategy. And the purpose of the AG's opinion is trying to get some legal guidance as to whether you can even consider to put the money in this software. Not to commit the money, but just to see if you can, if you choose as a commission to expend the money that way, that it is a legal expenditure.
Mr. Chairman, we, as a commission, I believe have an obligation to our sheriff's department and to our district attorney to expend these funds internally. Yes, we have helped to the tune of $5 million the mental health facility recently, and we need to continue to support that. But we have an obligation as a county commission to support our sheriff and our district attorney, who spend tens of thousands, if not much, much more annually on this opioid crisis. It is taxing our own internal departments financially, their resources, their energies, and we have these funds, and I feel very strongly that as a commission, it is imperative that we spend this money internally. We get a lot of external funds as a commission, and we spend the most of those excess external funds outside of the bounds of Montgomery County government. And these monies need to be spent on our sheriff's department and with our district attorney.
Thank you. Today, we're just voting to ask for an opinion, and there'll be future conversations after that on how the money will be allocated. But today is just to vote.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just think that comment deserves a response. Certainly, all of us support what the sheriff is doing. We support what the DA is doing, but prosecuting individuals or locking individuals up is not addressing this particular issue when it comes to opioid addiction. And so there are family members out there who've suffered tremendously as a result of the addiction crisis that we're facing. We need treatment, we need housing, we need all sorts of things to address the individuals who happen to be addicted and the family members who suffered as well because of the individual's addiction. So that's what the Governor's Council on Opioid Addiction was addressing. They had law enforcement there, the sheriff, Sheriff Cunningham. He served on one of the committees. So I'm aware of the various committees, the input that the stakeholders had an opportunity to provide. But we're talking about the suffering that is taking place as a result of these drugs that have just been free for all at one point in time. That's what we're talking about, and how those people are suffering. And as I say, locking them up and prosecuting them is probably, just one of the means of addressing the issue. But there's so many other issues out there. And again, what was the purpose for the Governor's Council on Opioid Addiction to meet and to make the recommendations if this body is not going to at least try to adhere to some of the recommendations? And one of the main recommendations is to involve the public in the decision-making process in terms of how this money is going to be spent, and you all need to get involved. Thank you.
Yeah, we're involved the public, and we'll look at different avenues of spending the money. Today, all we're doing is authorizing a request for the Attorney General's opinion, and we have a chance to vote on that at the 10 o'clock formal session. So next one, Lawrence.
Consider ADECA lets juvenile justice grant to combat juvenile delinquency. Consider a professional services contract with Dominion Resources regarding the 2024 tax sale. Consider a bid award to Walter Craig, doing business as the Sportsman's Headquarters for Law Enforcement Duty Weapons Exchange. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agency. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education.
I do. I have one. Can I add one, Florence?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, let me get to-
$750 to JAG for 11th grade initiative. Initiative, yeah, 11th grade initiative.
Florence, I'm looking quickly. I need to add to education $2,500 to Percy Julian for principal's discretionary. And Doug, hold on, the park crossing.
You helping out, I appreciate you helping out a
Well,
little bit.
he always calls me, and I tell him.
Thank you.
I should be really low on the list of help. Hold on. This is yeah, mine's already on there.
Yeah, it's
I
on
gave
there.
him a little bit.
Yeah, you do. Thank you.
I want to, Florence, I want to add $3,000 for JAG, the choral group,
The-
choral
Oh,
group,
okay.
choir.
Or did I? Okay, what is it for?
Are there any other education appropriations?
Bring it up.
Consider miscellaneous appropriations from designated revenue.
Florence, I have one individual for Knollwood, Knoll Wood, for $1,000 for community beautification, the HOA, through the community services program. Does anybody have any other individuals before I go through the joint stuff?
Yeah, Dan, the neighborhood that needs the fence that we
Yes.
share,
Yes.
Cece called me about that last night. Have you made an allocation to them?
I have. What
That-
do I need?
Well,
I'm in a-
last night, Cece told me it was about, they needed, it was 2,500 from each of us. They need 2,500 from each of us.
Okay.
And then
Each-
Cece was doing about that amount too.
All right, that's Rosemary, right?
Rosemary, yeah.
2,500 from my designated to Rosemary.
And 2,500 from my designated to Rosemary.
Thank you.
Thank
Did
you.
everyone
Yeah.
get an email from Michael Burdell about the Helping Family Initiative?
I got that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it
I
from
get on my
We're
list.
gonna do it from joint this time?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
got on my list.
Okay.
Does anybody- any oth-
Ms. Jim, what
yeah.
about the extension services? I believe
I
they
got
need.
it on my list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other individuals that, before I get to those? Alabama Association of Extension Services, annual meeting. I would like to ask if we could do 1,000 from our joint for that. Alabama Shakespeare Festival, 10,000 from the joint for Alabama Shakespeare Festival. If you got any questions, Commissioner Harris has kind of been very involved with that
We're
organization.
co-chairing that event again this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll all have invitations.
And then the third one was I Lead, the DA's office is bringing that program back. COVID kind of delayed it for a few years. But the I Lead program, I believe, was making a difference in our community with the fifth graders, Michael, right? Fifth graders,
That's 2,800?
$2,800.
Was that 2,800, Michael? That should go to Florence, Volunteers of America Southeast. I think we've given them before, Teresa? She
Wait
here?
wait a minute, I'm confused.
The 2,800 for I Lead,
Oh, okay.
it's going to be through, instead of going through Helping Montgomery Families Initiative, it'll go through the Volunteers of America of Southeast, which is the mother or organization that covers all the HM, all of those organizations.
So just to recap, from the joint, 1,000 to the extension services for annual meeting, 10,000 Alabama Shakespeare Festival, and 2,800 to our lead through Commissioner Harris had suggested there. Is everybody okay with those? Any objection to those? Everybody good? Okay. Florence, you got that? I'm done. You got somebody?
Yeah, this Riley Relief Foundation.
Yeah.
Is on the list here.
I think she's presenting today.
Yeah, she's here. If we need to talk to her, if we don't need to talk to her, then we just move ahead with her request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, two things, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Ziegler, let me get these two out of the way real quick.
Okay.
There's two more, the Riley Relief Foundation, Commissioner Sankey's been a big supporter. Back in 2022, we did it out of joint,
Who is that now?
Riley Relief Foundation, and they're actually here to speak today.
Missing Children, you familiar with her?
Missing children.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
She's been around for about 30 years or so doing this work, so.
So that's $3,500. I'm okay with doing that out of joint if everybody else is.
I don't see a problem doing that out of joint.
Okay, well,
And then
you
the,
can stay if you like, Miss Riley. If not, you're free to leave.
yeah, that's right, don't punch after the fight's over. Yeah. Montgomery YMCA, the Achievers Program, we've been a supporter of the Achievers Program for many years. They're requesting $5,000. We did it out of the joint last year. I'd like to do that again if we could.
I don't see a problem with that.
Everybody on this commission has given to them over the years. So if that's okay, Montgomery Achievers Program through the YMCA, $5,000, Riley Relief, $3,500. That cleans up our requests.
The final items consider travel training requests for appraisal, the county commission, engineering, information systems, probate, and the revenue commissioner. First up is our grants administrator, Regina Walker.
Glad to see you feeling better, Regina.
Good morning, thank you. I appreciate it. God is merciful.
Oh, yes.
I'm coming before you this morning seeking your permission to apply for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. It's a $250,000 grant, doesn't have a match, and it's designed to help units of local government reduce their energy consumption and fossil fuel emissions.
Any questions for that? There's no match on the county's behalf.
There's
What
some
what
more
are
of
the
those
plans,
grants
what
out
are the
there.
plans on applying this grant?
You mean where are we going to plan to use it?
Yeah.
For right now, it has a very tight window, so we're going to look at Montgomery County Activity Center. This was a new grant last year. If they continue to grant, we certainly can work with each of you and look at how we can do that at places in your district as well.
$250,000 for what now? For the Montgomery, for that?
Well, when you're talking about energy efficiency, it can be blown insulation, it can be HVAC replacement, it can be replacement of lights. So depending on, we're working with our partners at Alabama Power. They came last week to do a energy audit, which kind of helps give insight as to ways energy efficiency can be improved at that particular building, but that's something we can do at other sites as well as we move forward.
So this would help with the air conditioning down there in that area?
Yes, ma'am, if, when we go,
Backup air?
exactly.
Yeah. There's no
so-
air. That's not real air. It's the air God made. It's not blowing.
Exactly, we've been in meetings in there and it gets kind of warm, and so, but those are just some of the things that we plan to look at as pursuing this grant.
So it'll be next agenda.
Thank you, I'll take my seat.
Now, that,
Correction, due to the
Oh, it's a
timeline.
waive rules, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying to get out too fast. The grant is due on May 15th.
Yeah. Any
So we
objection
need
to
a waive
waiver
rules.
rules so we can meet the grant deadline?
I have no objection.
I have no objection.
Oh, thank you, now I'll take my seat, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I jump backwards to one more? We all received this morning an email from Ernestine Woods with Have a Heart for Children. You know, she has started to do an appreciation luncheon for all of the MPS resource officers each year. and we helped her last year, and she has requested our help again this year. The budget is based on 94 security officers, and she's going to do the luncheon for $25 for each officer, and that includes, venue and food and a little certificate of appreciation. That comes out to about $2,500, and I would encourage the commission to do that out of our joint, if you are so inclined. $2,500 to have a heart for children.
I don't have any objection to that.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Susan Kennedy with Levitate is here to answer questions regarding item number 1.
This is, good morning, Commissioners. This is one of the Commission's individual projects. I think this is Commissioner Chairman Singleton's project. And so we'll be bringing resolutions for your individual allocations through. And I think Commissioner Singleton is still working on the amount, but this resolution will designate a portion of the individual allocation as lost revenue, and then it will be sent to Pike Road. The City of Pike Road, I believe the City of Pike Road has also passed a resolution to designate this as lost revenue so that they can use this in some different projects that the city wants to do. And I'd encourage you, I know that Commissioner Sankey, we're working on yours. You've gotten all your requests in. I think all the commissioners, we're working on your individual compliance. I think we're pretty far down the road, but if there's any other projects or anything y'all need us to look at on the individual allocations, we're happy to do that. I think Commissioner Moore-Ziegler has asked us to put out an RFP for a community-based grant programs so that you could place funds there. If you weren't sure today, you could place funds there and then have control over where those funds would go later so that we can meet the obligation deadlines of December 31st. But then you would still have an opportunity to work with those funds and have control over where those funds went. So doing all things to meet that December 31, 2024 deadline.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just one question.
Sure.
In terms of the lost revenue, don't that allow us to have a little less,
Compliance work.
yes,
sir.
and less stringent, so we shouldn't
Yes,
have to
sir.
jump through too many hoops? if
No, what we're doing is, because lost revenue is limited, if a project appears compliant, most of your projects are compliant, they look to be compliant, we try to shift it over into the compliance section if we can. And reserve the lost revenue because it is limited how much you can designate as lost revenue. But yes, absolutely. If we run into a snag on one of the projects, we can designate it as lost revenue and move on.
Okay. And one other question, since I have you as an expert, the treasury, and when they considered how much money each entity would get, was it strictly based upon population, or there was some other criteria that they looked at?
So it was population. There are categories that Treasury came up with, and so there are certain cities that are under 250,000 in population that could apply, that got their money through the state. Over 250,000, they could apply on their own directly to Treasury, and counties in the same vein. So it was based on population, but there's also some categories of underserved populations, census districts, qualified census districts. And so the amounts of money varied. There was a formula that included more than just population, but it was mainly population.
Thank you.
Any other questions about moving this to the next agenda?
Thank
As
you.
long as we move that to the next agenda. Is there any
I've
other
got
questions? Well, we got
Susan.
Susan. Is there any
Yeah.
other questions for Susan?
I've got a couple questions. Really, they're more for Commissioner Harris, but stay here. This is from our formal agenda. Commissioner Harris, I'm definitely supportive of community centers, and I think this commission has demonstrated that through our willingness to allocate part of our ARPA resources to community centers. I just have a few questions regarding your proposal. What is the address on, it just says Woodley Road, it doesn't give a location on Woodley Road that you're considering for the construction?
It's, it's on Woodley and the Eastern Boulevard. You know where we had the old probate office there on, and that, it's across the street. There were a couple of daycares. There's a vacant lot, right? There's a 4-acre vacant lot right next to that last daycare center.
Where the mall is?
No,
Behind it.
no, it's,
You going too dark.
But I'm at the probate on McGee Road,
okay,
right?
you're at the probate, which is on the east side of the street. It's on the west side of the street. And there's a vacant lot right next to that last
She the
daycare.
new probate.
It's where the
Oh, you're at the
old,
new one.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the
I'm
old
sorry,
one
I
on-
don't know where the old probate
in
was. I'm
Capitol
sorry.
Plaza.
In Capitol Plaza.
Give me something else.
Okay, if you go,
Flea Market Montgomery.
Rhonda,
Dixon was there on Capitol
Remember
Plaza.
Flea Market
Oh,
Montgomery?
on the southern bypass?
southern bypass.
Okay,
There
the
you go.
southern bypass.
There you
Okay, yeah.
It's just south.
I'm 100% with you
Woodley
now.
Road, just south of the southern bypass. There,
I'm with you
there,
now.
there's a couple of daycares. At the end of that last daycare is a 4-acre lot. That's the lot.
Okay,
On the east side of the street is District 2, Commissioner Morris, and then on the west side is my district. So this is a location that's gonna service both Woodley Park and Spring Valley.
what city council person's district is that in?
That's in Arundel Mitchell's.
Okay. All right, have you had a meeting with Counselor Mitchell about the plan, your idea to put a community center there? And,
Not on this particular plan, but my understanding is that we're to have a meeting.
right, and so my concern, I guess, is the monies that you have proposed to allocate for this, it would be a brand-new community center, right?
Right.
You're planning to expend all of the available funds on construction, correct?
On the purchasing the lot and
Yeah.
constructing the facility.
So maintaining this facility, paying for staff and resources and utilities, you have listed $165,000 annually, which, based on my conversations with the expense at other community centers, that is a low number. But my concern is, where are those annual funds? Let's say they come out to $200,000 a year. Where is that money going to come from?
What the plan is to, and it's always been my plan, I don't know about the commission's plan, but the plan was to expand Parks and Rec anyway, and this is a part of that expansion. We have some 10, 12 community centers spread throughout the county, none within the city limits. This will be the only one. And by the way, the city has nothing in that area either. So they're on board, as I understand it, with the idea of it, and they're even on board with sharing the operation of it. We haven't had those meetings, but we are planning on having those meetings. But in terms of what it's going to cost to operate it, my understanding is that we're right in the ballpark for the types of programs that are going to be allowed there. The staffing was, I think, appropriate. And I don't know what it's costing us to operate Flatwood, or what it's costing us to operate the South Montgomery facility, but the thing is that this building is going to be comparable to what's in Flatwood, and the types of programs we're going to put in there are going to be actually we're going to get more utilization out of it, because we got 20, 30,000 people over there that are going to have access to this building, 2 separate homeowners associations that are going to be using it, so the use of it is going to be there, and I'm perfectly willing, if it's the city, and my understanding is they are interested in sharing the operations with it, but if not, if you're concerned that the county can't afford to do it, I rest assured, the county has the finances to operate another community center inside the city limits.
I agree. The county absolutely has the funds. My concern is this is, to my knowledge, this is unprecedented that the county would build a community center inside the city limits and fully fund in perpetuity the operations of that community center. And my concern is that I'm having to vote on this today with a pretty significant lack of information. I would like for a conversation. I would like for you to have a conversation with the city to see if they are willing. Hey, you want to build this nice new community center. I would say that we might even have abandoned facilities in that area that could be refurbished at a significantly less amount of money. But I would like a conversation with the city to see, this community center is going to be located inside the city limits. Can in any way it be folded in? If I pay for the community center, can we fold it in to city operations, or can we share operations? One of the ideas that I had for some of my ARPA funds involved a facility inside of the city limits. And the first thing was went to the two city councilors that I share that area with and made sure, hey, do y'all like this idea? Are you good with this idea? And then I also folded in, and this was just my idea. I'm not saying this is what I'm presenting to the commission, but my idea was to do something inside the city, and I folded in 5 years worth of maintenance funding from my ARPA funding. I carved out 5 years worth to operate the facility. I would like to see something like that, because while we have the money and we need more community centers, we need to support the city and their community centers. We need to continue to support the community centers that are in the county proper. Building a brand new facility from the county side, I just have some questions, and I would like for you to have a conversation with the city before I have to vote on this.
Let me just say this. It's on the agenda to be voted up or down. This conversation, I started this conversation, 8 years ago. And was about to move forward with it when we got the ARPA funds, and I was told in the ARPA meeting that let's wait. We can do that community center with the city, and it'll be bigger and it'll be better. And we went to these meetings, and we made plans, and we had a plan for a 44,000 square foot building that was going to cost roughly $18 million. It was going to be state of the art, and the expense and everything was going to be shared by the city and the county. Lo and behold, and I had nothing to do with any of the meetings. These meetings took place without me. That decision was thrown out the window, and then I get a call out of the blue. Well, let's just take that money and put it in the old Montgomery Mall. Well, that was unacceptable to me. The area that I'm talking about building this community center is an area that has access not to a YMCA, not to a city community center, not to anything. There are anywhere from 25 to 30,000 residents out there, and they have no meeting place. They're having to pick places to meet. This has been a need for years, and I've been trying to get this done for years, and I have had discussions with the city, and I had every city council person on board with it, every one of them. And then it was abandoned. So we get our share of the money. I want to use my money to build it. Now, it's going to cost $165,000 a year to run this thing. That's not going to break this commission. Believe me. We give that much money away in a month's time from people coming in asking for charitable donations. And what this is going to do, we can't afford to wait on the city, who've had all this time to do something in that area if they wanted to. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm perfectly willing to share the responsibilities of this community center with the city. But what I'm not prepared to do is to hold up a vote on whether or not we move forward with money that has to be allocated by the end of the year or the end of 2016. It has to be allocated to delay our decision on going forth with something that we know a constituency needs and know that this city needs and that this commission can't afford, waiting on the city to determine whether or not they're going to do something, because we've been through this before with them. Now, the location, the alternative location that the city is now considering was the first location that I considered. The people, and before the Family Dollar was, it wasn't the old Family Dollar, they vacated the building, and they're looking at that building. That lot was vacant. That was perfect for what I wanted to do. And I was going to bring, I had the realtors to look at the price. They wanted over $250,000 for that lot. My understanding is that today, Dollar General wants $2 million for that lot. The 4 acres that I'm going to buy is going to cost $170,000. The building that I want to build is going to cost $1.3 million. It's going to cost $165,000 a year to operate it. We're going to be servicing some 25 to 30,000 residents. These people are going to have a place that's going to be after-school care, that's going to be daytime care for the elderly, there's going to be all kind of community health programs. During COVID, and this is what this money's supposed to be, during COVID, the people that lived in that area had to get in a line that spread it from the Montgomery Mall down McGee Road to get a COVID shot. When if we had had a facility in that unit, all they would have had to do was drive up the street, drive in one direction, out the other, get the shot and go. This would be convenient for that area. What I am willing, I am open, and I am happy because it would mean a bigger and better facility if the city was on board. But what I am not willing to do today is to wait on the city to decide whether or not they want to do something that they've had an opportunity to do for years and have not done it and have refused to do it. So I would say let us move forward with our vote and at the same time have discussions with the city to see if they're on board with it. And if they are, I'm wide open for it. It would mean bigger and better for what I want to do there.
Commissioners, today the resolution authorizes county attorney and county administrator to negotiate for the purchase of the 3.9 acres of land for $175,000. Second, it allows for an appraisal not to exceed $15,000. Items 1 and 2 will be drawn from Commissioner Harris's $1 million portion of the ARPA fund, and then the county shall designate up to, they don't say designate that amount, but up to a little $1.1 million from the remaining funds in our community center ARPA funding. In future budgets, the county shall provide for the ongoing operation and staffing of the center through the Montgomery Parks and Recreation Department. I've had, as I discussed with you this morning, I had discussions with Rondé Mitchell and CC, the city. But those two guys are on board. They're supportive. That's what I was looking for, to get their support and to work with them going forward come budget time to be able to sustain and maintain this facility. So that's what we're voting on today. The city council, person in that district, the president of the city council are both supportive of the project. The Family Dollar building is $2 million, and they want to lease it anyway. They really don't want to sell it, so that building's out regardless. That's not an option on the table. But this is what we're voting on today. And
Mr. Chairman, just to
Yeah.
clarify, and I appreciate Commissioner Harris's emotional and impassioned remarks, but to say that, you know, Commissioner Harris's remarks made it clear that the city was not at the table on this project. For you to say that you had conversations.
I told you I hadn't spoken with the city.
Well, but for them to say, yeah, we'll do money, and then you said they had a meeting that didn't involve you, and then all of a sudden, the money was gone. and-
You're mischaracterizing what I said.
Well, repeat it, please.
I'm clear, I haven't spoken with them about this project.
Right.
And they haven't talked to me about it. I was talking about the project.
But you mentioned the $18 million big
That was
project
the
that
project
evaporated.
that was the opportunity that we had with the city to work
Right.
together. It was abandoned by the city without explanation.
Right, and that's
That
what I
was
was
all I
referring
said.
to. I didn't mean to mischaracterize. I meant to quote that it was abandoned without explanation. And for you to say that you talked to a couple of members of the city council and they, quote, are supportive, I feel sure they're supportive of Commissioner Harris building a community center. Why wouldn't you support that? But I don't want us to imply preceding this vote that they are supportive of funding ongoing operations. I think that is a huge clarification that needs to be made, and that is the consideration. And I know today we are not allocating money for ongoing operational support, but to agree to fund the building, we are in essence going to, down the road, have to face, how are we going to pay for this? So that's really the issue at hand.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's on the agenda. We should move forward to vote.
We're gonna
Agreed.
vote on it today. Yeah. So- Oh, by the way, I got my shot in the Montgomery Mall parking lot when I got my COVID shot in. Remember I had the shots in the, remember?
And so did everybody out there, because there was nowhere located, there's nowhere in that area. And I mean, when I say 25 or 30,000 people, there are more than that, because I'm just talking about the people on the east and west side of Woodley Road between the Southern Bypass and Virginia Loop. But there are people on Virginia Loop as well. There's nothing there for to hold a community meeting. There's not even a church big enough to hold a community.
Well, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Excuse me, do we still need to hear from Ms. Riley Bolden?
Ms. Riley, you okay? She's fine. I don't see her. You okay? Yes, ma'am.
Don't punch them when you do one to fight.
Well, yeah, quit punching when the fight's over.
Item number 2 is renewal of a lease agreement with Williamson Properties for the purchase of clay gravel. Mr. Speak is here if you have any questions about that.
That'll be next agenda.
Number 3 is consider a service level agreement renewal with C2 Technology for the jail detention locks, security cameras, and door access by information technology. Rodney can answer any questions.
That'll be next agenda.
Consider the inmate excess medical policy renewal presented by Risk Management. Melissa can answer questions.
Actually, it went down 2%. So that'll be next agenda.
Item number 5 is a change order for the rebuilding of the Flatwood Community Center.
Yeah, this is one, Florence, I'm gonna ask if the commission will consider waiving rules, and let's get this through today, due to the fact the general contractor is kind of at a stall there. He's gotta have this drainage and grading done before he can move on and continue his work. So I'm gonna ask if we could, maybe waive rules today and get this allocated and approved. Is there any objection to waiving rules on?
I have no objection.
It's your district, you
Well,
okay with that?
You know I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
thought you were, but I want to make sure now.
I'm in the listing mode this morning,
Yeah.
right now anyway.
All right, so we'll waive rules on that one, Florence.
Item number 6 is to consider the appointment of Mr. Ruffin as a board member of the Industrial Development Board. We circulated his resume as Commissioner Harris requested.
I thought he was very qualified.
I apologize for that, the length of that resume.
He's got a good resume.
It's a good one.
I read every word of it, it's very qualified.
Take about a week to read it.
So that'll be next agenda.
Item number 7 is a bid award to Walter Craig, DBA The Sportsman's Headquarters, for green dot sites.
Encouraging, and we had 5 bidders on that, so. So that'll be next agenda.
Consider amendment number 1 to the contract with Waste Away Group.
Any questions about Waste Away? That'll be next agenda.
Items 9, 10, and 11 are renewals of amendments with the cleaning service, Supreme Cleaning. It's broken down by different buildings.
We'll get next agenda on all 3 of those.
And I believe that's all of our items.
Commission have anything else they want to discuss? If not, I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple of these that have signed up for 10 o'clock. Sheriff Cunningham, who's the first one on the list? Who's that? Yeah, Ms. Thomas, you want to come forward? I'm still going to kind of hold you to the 3-minute rule, so
I don't think I'm going to need it,
you
really.
probably won't, Lisa.
Okay. Good morning to the commissioners. I'm representing Westside Restoration Corporation, and I have with me one of the assistant directors, one of our students who's now working, doing very well, but he had a little time this morning. I said, let's get down here to the commissioners, because I want you to see a story. But I want to thank you, first of all, for your donations or your support on last year. We were able to do some amazing things with our children. We were able to take some educational trips, which included going to the Capitol, and of course, and looking at the various museums, understanding African American history, which would give them some foundation for them moving forward. This year, just so you'll know, we have 95 children who want to get into our program. This was not advertised. They came seeking us. We have a list of 20 individuals that's on our waiting list. We already have our agenda for the summer, which will start on June 3rd. We are having a Spanish teacher to come in. We're asking for additional Chromebooks because we still want to do enhancement in learning, especially in math and reading with our children. So with the Chromebooks, that will help them to tie into their various school systems. We also are having individuals coming in to talk about etiquette. We are having public defender's office to come in to actually talk about laws that affect our teenagers and to keep them out of trouble so they'll know what to do and how to handle certain situations. We have volunteer programs going on so they can learn how to give back into their community. I heard you talk about Ernestine Woods. We've been over there with her to help her with packing out the bus. We do food giveaways. We want them to get involved. There are so many other things. We're talking about etiquette. So things that we want to do this summer. We want to still go to educational venues, to various museums. We are headed to Chattanooga Lookout Mountain. We are headed to the African American Museum to talk about our music heritage. But these are just some of the things that we will be doing this summer. We're asking for your support again this year for our program. We have gone up, our attendance have gone up tremendously. We held it down last year due to COVID restrictions. Of course, we have quite a few students, so we're asking for your support again this year. But I did ask Zay to come. Zay started in our program when he was 5 years old. This young man's mother died when he was in elementary school, and he has gone on to do very great things. He's in the 11th grade at Percy Julian High School. There he is student government president. He has a straight A average. This young man stays in contact with us. He doesn't want to really leave the program. He's working at Taco Bell, but he continues to come back to volunteer, and he's going to volunteer with us again this summer. We will be hiring, as we do, giving stipends to our program assistants. These are children that they don't want to be in the program. They're a little bit old, but the mama said, we don't want to trust you at home right now, so we need somewhere for you to go. So we say, let them come to us. We have about 6 students that will be with us this summer, which we will give stipends. And there we will teach them work ethics, learn how to get to your jobs on time, learn what to dress, how to dress when you get there. So these are the things that we continue to do in this community, and we're still asking for your support.
Well, thank you. Any questions from the commission?
I don't have any questions. I supported them last year, and I've been over there to the program, so it is an excellent program.
How do y'all get funded? What's your main funding source? Is it donations?
We do ask for donations, and then the parents do pay something for the children to come. This year, it's like $75 for a week, which
Y'all
isn't really a lot.
Volunteers, basically? Y'all mostly
Yes, we do
volunteers?
have one of our volunteers, Kata Holloman, who's been with us now for several years, so it's volunteers.
Okay. Well, we'll consider this, and we'll get back, Tammy or Teresa will get back with you. We'll consider helping you out.
Okay, all right.
But thank you so
Thank you.
much. Crystal Williams, American Legion, 1948 Piers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Crystal Kaiser Williams. I'm here just to ask or make sure that or to ask your permission to make sure that we include the stakeholders, including ourselves, peers, and American Legion post-1948 in dealing with the issue with the opiate settlement, et cetera. We just want to make sure that that we are being included as we have a lot of interest in the recovery, the rehab, the homelessness, the et cetera. You know, we have a lot of interest in helping with this cause. So we just are just asking, as you know, that we are considered as and having some input into that final decision that you all make.
Are you, where's Fred? He normally comes.
I am Crystal Kaiser Williams. I am a 22-year Air Force brat. I have 2 adult Air Force National Guard children, and then I am the spouse of a disabled American veteran.
But not Fred.
But Frederick Williams, and I am also a member of the auxiliary for the American Legion post-1948.
Any questions for?
Just one comment, just thank you for coming, because I do think it's important for those stakeholders who are already doing the work in terms of housing, feeding, providing mental health treatment, and other resources, and who are already engaged in abatement strategies, to be heard by this body when it comes to how that opioid settlement money is going to be distributed. So thank you for coming. Hopefully there's some other folks in the audience that want to be heard too, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be engaging the public. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna put the list back in the back again, so if you want to speak at 10 o'clock and I took your list and you couldn't sign in because I had your list, I will put it back there for another 5 minutes. We're going to take a recess. It's 9:54, 9:55. That gives us all 5 minutes. And we're going to start promptly at 10 o'clock, so.